Hello and welcome to Gierok Farms. Today we're in the shop working on the 1650 Oliver. Dad noticed, maybe half a week ago or a week ago that it doesn't want to go into reverse anymore, so we're thinking there's a piece of linkage broke or...
What I think it is the forks that move the gear, that could be starting to break off. Because if I fiddle around long enough, it seems to go in and then it stays in until you take it back out and go forward, and you try to go back to reverse again, you're having trouble. Now, I took off what I could just to see down in there where the stick goes through, and everything appears to be fine. We've had this open before. I'm actually kind of lucky because it had to be 10 years ago. We had fifth gear lock up on this tractor. I don't know why, it had oil in it. We had the picker on it then. We took this whole thing apart and I ended up getting a rear end with the transmission from used to be an Oliver dealer. They used to sell white and all that stuff over at Hickston. So this guy sold me a whole rear end without the wheels and everything, of course, but I got axles and the whole transmission. So we had that all tore apart. So then I got that all in a half barrel up on the shelf there. And I'm looking in there and every component that's in here is in that barrel. So we're gonna take it apart. We're gonna see what's wrong. We gotta take off seat, this whole hydraulic assembly, along with our platform stuff. And underneath the hydraulics is pretty much get you access to your transmission rear end stuff. And there's another interesting thing about these tractors compared to like International or some other brands. There's, what did I figure out? Is there 7 different reservoirs in here? So you got 80, 90 in your rear end. That's where your axles go through, your differential. You got your hydropower drive, that's automatic transmission fluid in there. There's maybe a gallon or so in there with this dipstick. That's separate. Got your motor oil separate. You got your antifreeze separate. You got your fuel. And then you got your hydraulic system, which is just on top of the transmission, which is separate. What does that make? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I count right? 6.
So 6 different reservoirs.
So that makes it a little more complicated, like compared to that 686. Hydraulic system in the whole rear end, that's all what they call high-trend. It's just a hydraulic fluid. And then, of course, our torque amplifier, which would be kind of, does the same thing as this hydropower drive, which they call it. So that's all one. And then another thing we noticed after investigating into this, so I got this half barrel cut off in the other shed up on the shelf with all those transmission parts in. Just wanted to look and see what I had there, but then I found the brake assembly. So if you remember a few videos back, we were doing the brakes on 686, and I said that this rod needed to be heavier, and I found this along with the brakes. So I got this whole thing with the rear end. Now this is out of a Super MTA. I'll have to take that apart again to see what size. This is bigger. Everything's exactly the same except it's heavier. This pin is bigger. So in case we are smaller in there, I think I'm just gonna drill that out, put this heavier pin through. You notice it is bent a little bit, which I think they just bend through time. And that's why those break, and that ain't the first one broke. And then this nut's very similar, except it's just bigger there. So you got 1/2 inch instead of, what is that, 3/8? That tractor's got more horsepower than this one. Wheels are maybe similar as far as size and stuff, but no one to brake. So we're gonna adapt this assembly. And I don't ever remember breaking one on the 680 or on this Oliver. I don't remember breaking these. Those with the MTA and that tractor, I broke several through the years. So we're gonna switch that up someday too. This isn't gonna be anything, I don't think, too complicated. What's wrong in there is what I think is wrong. It's just a matter of taking it apart, switching up that piece, and getting everything back together. I think the reason is these tractors always shifted hard. Seems like you gotta pull your hydropower, which kind of releases everything, because everything is binding against, when you go from forward to reverse. So when we're spreading silage on the trench, that back and forth, you got a pretty long stick here. I mean, you got almost a 3-foot crowbar really to shift with. As long as it is, that's a lot of pressure to put on everything down in there. Oh, and another question. Somebody asked the question if we ever got rid of a tractor that we wish we wouldn't have. We've never sold any tractors.
I did, but I don't regret that one.
Well, that one, yeah,
that was a temporary deal to start with. So.
I mean, it had its little issues. I mean, I think it was a good thing. I mean, you didn't lose any money on the deal or nothing like that, so it kind of worked out, but you learned a lot too. And I grew up this way too. My dad's never sold any tractors after he bought them. you know, where I grew up, and my brother still got them all yet, and then some. You know, you purchase more, but you got to realize these things are 50, 60, 80-year-old stuff. They're kind of ready for the, what would you call it, the showroom, just for the parades or all that stuff already. And then I don't think you should get rid of them as long as everything's pretty sound on them yet.
Yeah, I gotta make sure they're paid for, so you gotta, you gotta keep using them.
Get our value out of them. They're only becoming worth more every day. And I know this one, we could probably just sell it as is, just wash it up a little bit and sell it as is, and I'm sure it would bring several thousand more than it was worth brand new. But then again, the dollar isn't worth anything. So you don't really, I don't believe you'd ever lose a penny anyway. It would still be what a dollar was worth back then.
You guys want to keep the seat from tipping over when I run around to the back, catch it? Could you do that for me? I'm gonna put them back in so I don't lose them. I know where everything went. I don't think we need those to stay out. Hope you guys are paying attention so we know how everything goes back together. It shouldn't be too bad. We should be able to figure it out. Okay, I'm gonna try starting the tractor. Dad's got everything unhooked, run one of the hydraulic remotes. Hopefully we're able to drain it real fast and not make a mess. Yummy. Okay, I've been slowly plugging away at it. Got both the platforms off on both sides. It got the battery out of there. Got the seat off. Got it drained, or at least this top hydraulic reservoir. I believe we got it drained. It stopped pumping out of that line we had cracked. And I've been kind of scraping around all of these bolts, and it goes around this entire case here. I'm gonna take the air hose, try to blow as much of this crud and dust off. And then I believe we just gotta remove all of these, work their way around the perimeter, undo these lines. There's one here, this linkage here. Just take these off, maybe keep this whole thing with that. I wish I could shove this entire thing in like a parts cleaner or something. We maybe should have pressure washed it before I pulled it in here, but none of this would have been exposed very well to clean. I'm gonna blow it off best I can and then start pulling some of them lines off or some of them brackets off. Well, I just got everything cleaned off. Dad's back now. There's a glimpse into what we're about to get into.
Yeah, I had to go because my state inspector showed up for the milk. So
Yeah.
you always want to be there when and everything was good. He
Wasn't too picky.
not well, you know. There's always those little things you don't even realize are an issue.
He passed. We can keep doing what we're doing.
I can milk another year.
Yep. At least according to the state, you can milk another year.
And that this is kind of funny, but this has something to do with that high-low. See, on the MTAs, this part here would wear off, but this one won't look too bad. Hopefully our problem is down in there, otherwise we're taking everything apart for nothing, but I can't figure it out any other way, so we're not gonna, we're gonna get her open. Now you're gonna keep track of all these bolts where everything goes, right?
These guys will have to keep track.
Well, you guys get your pen and paper out,
Yeah.
and number them all.
You should find a container then. That'll be all the case.
I think we'll figure it out anyway.
Well, we shouldn't mix these up with our platform brackets.
Here, this thing will be sufficient. I got everything out here already.
prime spot for one of those engine jacks. We have a skid steer. No, we're good. We're good.
So our reverse is on this side, so that means it's this arm here.
Oh, we got that housing off. Now we're trying to diagnose what's going on in there.
So reverse is that way, then it's this arm right here. Can you see what's going on below there? This must be high-low range here. That didn't have nothing to do with that. And that's attached to the center bar. This fork right there.
Yeah, that's for sure cracked off.
It's just from fatigue, from time of just jamming and jamming and jamming. Well, Ollie said I've had it.
Now, Dad's gonna pull a cover off up front there.
I think we gotta get these bolts out, pull that guy out, and see if we can sneak them out of there. We might have to take all three out. Isn't it amazing how new everything looks in here? Look at that. Here's your differential, which basically means so one wheel can be turning faster than the other. This whole mechanism right down in here is what you call your bull wheels. One's attached to each axle. And what's down in here is 80-90 weight oil. And then this shaft here, that goes back to your PTO, which makes live power. And that goes right through all these gears. It goes right into the hydropower and goes directly into the motor. So there's some different splines though. But so if you take the whole PTO off, this shaft here comes out of this here spline here. That would go out with it out the back.
I think you have that piece.
Unless it broke before. And I don't remember. No, I'm thinking I got that. I know we broke one of these shifting. I don't know what they call these. There's two of them shafts in there. One was broke. And then the guy at the shop, he worked on these down in Wamedy. He told me he bet me a can of pop. He said I'd have to take this whole cover off to get that out of there, so I could get the two halves out. And because you pull that cover off back there, and I think the one part I don't remember how I did it, but I got them out. And then, but to get the new piece back in, because then it's all one chunk, he thought I would have to take the whole top off. We were able to get it in, but then to get these little bolts on, my wife went in there with her little fingers and was able to get them started. So I did get one free can of pop for figuring that out. Container.
Oh, the cover's only big enough for the shafts.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Well, I was concerned that we would maybe found something simpler than, after we pulled this all apart, but it's
You want to quit getting dirt in there? It's just lean in there. All right, let's get to work. Okay, we got everything loosened up. Dad's got his cap off. I got them bolts out. Now we're gonna try to, there we go, sliding out the end.
maybe don't have to go out all the way. You might have to take these two bolts out to get that to give way. Keep going. Where's this ratchet?
7-Up sponsorship.
Well, somebody's got to sponsor us. Actually, the 7-Up is remnants of this guy's wedding. It's either that or start drinking beer, and we don't mix beer and heavy machinery. I think the big thing is here, just don't drop anything down into that oil. It'll be fishing around in there with some magnet. Could imagine what it looks like inside those new transmissions and those newer tractors. Make this look pretty simple. Can it lay down in there?
Yep.
There we go. Now we bottomed out someplace there. We get something. Well, wait now. We might be able to... Can we drop this guy down?
So we were able to finally fish it out of there, and yeah, that's the culprit. Looking at it from a square view, you can see that's kind of bent back. So that was preventing you from going in reverse. And there's a crack right along that weld there.
See, so actually a person could weld this, but I got one. You know, it almost looks like it may have been welded. You know, may have been fixed. Wouldn't surprise me if 30 years ago somebody did that. See, now look in here, all the goodies. There's a whole transmission down in here. That's one of them. Here's one.
That's the one that we were fighting. It's in the middle. That one's upside down. Here's the middle one.
That's the one. Here it is. Who knew? How would we be so lucky to have all that? I think the guy that put this one together he was probably on the job a lot longer than the guy that put this one together. There's not very much wool in there. And they put it through that slot.
All the diehard Oliver guys, that was before the big merger. That was, yeah. I must have been. Yeah, I had that sitting on the shelf. Oh, sorry, loose.
Back in this pig, because I broke one of these ones too. You have to remember that, because maybe in 30 years I'll be gone and you'll be digging through that same thing.
Yeah, and then I'll put it back in and then realize that there's a crack in it and it doesn't work quite right.
There'll be a little dust in there, you may not even notice.
I'll have to pull it back apart.
But see, I won't be here to remember for you. I wonder if we can how about if we got this guy out of here? I think I can get this guy out of here. We got him in without splitting this tractor. I know that one of these sides we did. So we can slide him ahead. That would give you more room there.
Update, we knew exactly what we were doing and we slid it right back into where it was supposed to be. We didn't fight with it for 15 minutes. And
this guy bolts to this, so that means this has got to get turned up, which that's what I was doing wrong over here.
but we got that fork back in there, which took a while.
There we go.
Okay, we roughly got everything lined back up. We got them shafts back in there. Dad's starting to...
See, what we need now is some girly fingers to get down in there.
Okay, we believe we have everything back together before we have to slide that cover on, right? I don't think we're missing anything.
We didn't drop anything in there, did we? Okay.
Try to line everything up again.
Gasket here.
Yeah, I think that's the one underneath it. Yeah, that's the issue. The main one is okay. Yeah, our back peg was popped up. No, just to remember where everything goes. Okay, last update for the day. Got the big casing back on top there. Got some bolts in place. According to Dad, it all feels right. It all feels like
it
it
feels
should
like
be right.
I think we definitely. It's great to know that we found a crack, pretty obvious, and now it's a matter of everything fitting back into place. But what we need to do, which is extremely important, it's Mother's birthday today, so we need to go up and have birthday cake before she has to go to work, because
Can't miss that.
this can always wait over that.
So tomorrow we'll keep putting things back together, and maybe one last update of it driving around and shifting right. So,
Hopefully we're driving it around tomorrow, which I feel pretty confident.
so see you tomorrow.